Aloha and welcome to the Bear Woznick Adventure. My guest today is Father Bryce Lungren. Kind of hard to get on your show because he's a bit of a wandering cowboy. He's the Catholic Cowboy Priest in Wyoming who his two books, The Catholic Cowboy Way, and then the newest book, The Catholic Cowboy Way of Prayer. Great books for everyone, but especially for men. And so we're going to dig a little bit deep. We're going to actually dig into prayer, which is the gnarliest thing anyone can ever do, is talk with God. Think about the boldness it takes to do that. We'll be right back with Father Bryce Lungren.
Welcome to the Bear Woznick Adventure. Kickstart that engine and roll thunder with the pack. Explore the grittiness of manly spirituality. Gain traction in the virtues. Soup up your spiritual engine by turning adversity into adventure. Now here's Bear Woznick. Let's ride.
Aloha and welcome to the Bear Woznick Adventure. You know, every one of us, the reason why I call it the Bear Woznick Adventure is because each of us is on an adventure. And that adventure really begins for us in our relationship with God, because God says, I know what I have in store for you, plans for peace, not destruction, a future reserved for you full of hope. And he also says, if you seek me, I will let you find me. If you seek me with all your heart, I will let you find me. So it's in that finding of God, in prayer and in just living life out, that this great adventure unfolds. But so many people miss out on the adventure. The adventure means you took a detour. When we were riding our motorcycles across the United States, filming Long Ride Home, the best stuff we got on film was the stuff when things didn't go as planned. Not saying they weren't. Sometimes it meant things didn't go as planned and we faced adversity, and sometimes it was we faced incredible, beautiful moments. But letting God take the reins of your horse, and letting God guide you. You know, he's the scout that goes out ahead of you. He knows what he's got planned for you. So abandon yourself to the adventure of God's will. And we have a man here, Father Bryce Lungren, who definitely is that example to me in my life. Good morning, Father Bryce.
Good to see you, Bear. Aloha.
And so, yeah, oh man, we loved it when you were here with Father Joe. And you got to come back. That room's just waiting for you, you know.
Nice,
and you guys showed up, and you were wearing your cowboy hat, and you're strolling down Kalakaua Avenue, and it was interesting because you had the reaction of some saying, "Oh, Father," you know, they were, and some were like angry with you. You know, you definitely slice it down the.
Try wearing your cowboy hat in Rome. That'll turn some heads. So we were over there recently for the canonizations of Carlo Acutis and Saint Pier Giorgio Frassati. Awesome experience. But yeah, anyway. So good stuff.
They wear those little hats, those little skull hats, and they wear big hats. But you wore a cowboy hat. Well, what happened? I want to hear about that.
It was. Well, I always say I can wear my Roman collar anywhere in the world and people recognize it. I can wear my cowboy hat anywhere in the world and people recognize it. And that was the case. And I just covered my bald head. It was still summer out. But anyway, the most common comment we got was, "You from Texas?" I'm not from Texas. All the cowboys left Texas and went to Wyoming.
They did. They rounded up those longhorn steers, I guess, around the 1870s, late 1860s, and up into the 1890s, and they rolled those cattle all the way up to Wyoming, Montana. How's your ranch? Are you still working your ranch, or I know you moved to a new parish?
Oh, I always got a foot in the game. I help guys around here, and then Dad and Mom with on their place back home in Worland. So yeah, I always got a foot in the game, but I'm not cutting meat like I was. So
yeah, all I remember is when you came, you brought a steak, man, and
yeah, man,
best steak in the world.
Stuff. Yeah,
and as I recall, the name of that cow was number 38 or something.
No, it's 53. That was 53.
It's your pet name for that cow. So, it was It was really, really delicious. But we're so glad to have you here. And your new book, The Catholic Cowboy Way of Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Is so I wanted to ask you about your own the gradual transformation in your prayer life. I mean, so that basically is a story of your journey with God. But can you
Mhm.
tell us how? Because when you talk to God, that's about the gnarliest thing you can do is talk to the guy
Yeah,
who created the universe.
I do. I like the way you put that because it is really the greatest adventure. I mean, relationship with God is the greatest adventure, and but to have a relationship, you got to communicate, which is prayer. And so I even say like, we would say like following Christ is the greatest adventure. Well, to follow Christ, you got to hear him, and that's what prayer is all about. So yeah, I mean, maybe I mean, I do just come out the Catholic have a way of prayer here, and it's just a next step in the I don't know if you call it the Catholic Cowboy series or whatever. But as you asked that question, I just just a little bit of what I wrote on the back. So Father Bryce Lungren is a Catholic priest for the Diocese of Cheyenne. Prayer has been a passion of his ever since entering the seminary in 2008. Now, as a parish priest of and pastor of 4,500 square miles of the Wild West in northern Wyoming, Father Bryce, I have had to keep my prayer skills sharp. Doing so has helped me remain joyful and effective in proclamation of the gospel. I mean, I guess I don't know why I read that, only because you mentioned about my journey. And like prayer
Right.
has been a passion of mine ever since entering the seminary. Maybe before, for sure, but like serious intentional communication with the Father through the Son in the Holy Spirit that like really started to dial in seminary. uh all of seminary we were taught how to pray. That's why I kind of wrote the book, and I even mentioned it in there, is like usually if someone was going to embark on a serious prayer journey, so like, hey, I go to my buddy, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna embark on an intense prayer life. And about the only encouragement your buddy would give you is like, good luck, bro. Hope that goes well. Like that's about all
It sounds
the
really boring.
schooling we have.
But it also
It sounds
sounds really
boring, but
boring.
also like, how do you do it? It's kind of
Yeah,
like,
right,
hope
right,
that
right.
goes well, man. Go
Yeah.
this way or that way. No, that's not Christian prayer. Christian prayer is dialed in. So like the one quote I put on the book here is like, the spiritual life is a science, not a crapshoot.
All right.
God put a logic into our physical lives. Wouldn't it make sense that the same creator also put a logic in our spiritual lives? I think so, and so does 2,000 years of Christian tradition. So you
Mhm.
can be taught to pray and how to pray. And here's what prayer looks like, here's what it doesn't look like. It's ultimately personal, but there are some commonalities. So I just want to say seminary really taught us how to pray in a very dialed in way. And so my journey on in that part of my prayer life, I first landed my first 4 years of seminary were at a Benedictine monastery. So that was Mount Angel Seminary south of Portland, Oregon. And I wasn't studying for that monastery, but yet it was a monastic environment. And so I was just able to really like take on this whole contemplative way of life, and then in prayer, it really was very contemplative. It was very much about receiving and sitting and listening, things like that. And that was legit. That's the way the Lord led me, and what that environment provided, things like that. Um, I enjoyed that so much. I like wonder if I'm called to a contemplative way of life or something, but I didn't have that feeling. In fact, by the time those 4 years were done, I was, I felt it was time to go, just because the Lord was leading me elsewhere. And then my final 4 years of seminary were in Denver and at St. John Vianney Theological Seminary. And there, I mean, the stability wasn't like at the monastery. We didn't even live on campus, most of us. We'd commute to campus. So I
Mm.
didn't have these external confines. So now I had to find an internal stability. So now, I mean, that's kind of my formation at large. But then in prayer, I couldn't necessarily sustain the kind of monastic contemplative prayer that I, it fostered in the seminary. So fortunately, what we were taught there was more Ignatian spirituality, discernment of spirits, and just different, more kind of tactical techniques to the prayer life and things like that. And so, I mean, today I'd always say I'm a Carmelite at heart, but I'm Ignatian in practice. So I still dig the Carmelite stuff, and that I wasn't a Carmelite monastery. It's just that's my order of go-to.
Yeah.
But as a parish priest, like Ignatian spirituality, discernment of spirits, accepting, rejecting, getting to the heart, discerning your desires, all that stuff. Like when you're on the front lines, that's what you need to
That's so interesting.
with.
We got to take a break. It's so interesting because our last interview was with Joe Resinello, whose podcast is called The Front Lines. But we're talking about Father Bryce Lungren in his newest book, The Catholic Cowboy Way of Prayer. We'll be right back with more of the Bear Woznick adventure. Schoolofmanliness.com is a place for men of grit and grace to join together to inspire, to encourage, and to challenge each other to grow in manly virtue. Members receive morning man meditations, a monthly curriculum that is rich with audio, video, and written content, and a trail guide to help you map out your new trajectory. Many of our members lead their sons through this same curriculum. Your membership gives you access to both the Man Cave, which is our non-Facebook type community, and the School of Manliness at schoolofmanliness.com. Become a member at schoolofmanliness.com. Deep Adventure Ministries is grateful to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for underwriting the Bear Woznick adventure on EWTN. Notre Dame Federal Credit Union provides car loans, mortgages, SBA loans, and depository accounts nationwide, as well as 24-hour support. Go to deepadventure.com to find their link, or go to NotreDameFCU.com. Mahalo to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for making the Bear Woznick adventure possible. My newest book, 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone?, has hit the top 5 in Christian books for a good reason. It's because men are searching for traction and a trail guide to live out the unique calling and the gifts that they were born with, that each man individually is factory loaded with by God. Paul said, "Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, do all things in love." Finally, here is a book that talks with men the way men talk with each other. Just plain old straight shoot. By the way, Mama Bears, this is your chance to get this message to your men. Go to schoolofmanliness.com or anywhere books are sold. 12 Rules for Manliness. Where have all the cowboys gone?
This is a warning. The Bear Woznick adventure is dangerous. The radical change Bear challenges you to is not for wimps. Change this station now to a soft rock station before it's too late. You've been warned. Now, here is Bear Woznick.
Aloha, welcome back to the Bear Woznick Adventure. I want to invite you to go to your local bookstore or Amazon, or to our website, schoolofmanliness.com. Check out my book, 12 Rules for Manliness. Where have all the cowboys gone? I actually had a race getting this book done with my friend Father Bryce Lungren, who's joining us today. His book series, The Catholic Cowboy Way. First book was The Catholic Cowboy Way, and the newest book is The Catholic Cowboy Way, The Way of Prayer. I introduced Father Bryce to my publisher, Charlie McKinney at Sophia, for his first book, and then all of a sudden he's writing a Catholic book based with cowboy themes, and I am too. And I can't read his book because I don't want to steal any of his. I don't want to be accused of stealing his stuff or whatever. And it turns out I think one of our chapters had the same title. I think it was all my heroes are cowboys. But it was a race. But Father Bryce won. And but yeah, I first got introduced to you, Father Bryce, on the WyomingCatholic.com. it's .com, right, website. And
Yep.
and our men love it in our man cave.
Mhm.
The men love it because we post little extracts, and I've got them. We got it linked to your homilies, the little 5 to 10 minute homilies that you do. There's a cool image of a cowboy hat, and you press a button, and you hear Father Bryce's homilies, and they're so they're just, I don't know, they're gritty, and they're full of God's grace, and they're applicable to your life, and they're just very rich. So we encourage people to go to WyomingCatholicCowboy.com, and if you don't know Father Bryce, get to know him there. So, Father, we're talking about your newest book, The Catholic Cowboy Way of Prayer, The Catholic Cowboy Way of Prayer, and you talked about the structure of your prayer life and developing the disciplines of the prayer life and the way that you pray. I know for me, it was, I called you one time, or I texted you, and I forget how it went, but it's basically, I can't talk right now because I never leave. Your statement was, I never leave the house without having my holy hour first. You said, I've learned my lesson. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, again, I go back to seminary. We were taught, it was part of our formation to do a holy hour in front of the Blessed Sacrament from 6 to 7 a.m. every morning. So that was a discipline we learned there. And part of that was, they know what it's like as a parish priest. Like, they know how the day can go. And so really morning is your only sacred time that you can count on. And I always say, if I were to go back to seminary and give some advice to seminarians, or just, as a parish priest, what advice would I give? And it would be, early to bed, early to rise makes a parish priest holy, healthy, and wise.
It's true.
Dude, it's so true.
I call that hour the sacred hour. For me, my day has to start with the number 4 at the beginning of the hour I'm getting up. It might be 4 a.m. It might be 4:55 a.m. But it starts there, and it always starts with a cup of coffee in the liturgy of the hour.
Solid.
And if I don't do that, there's something missing that day. If I get rushed and don't do it.
If the deal is too, why I really emphasize, like I always say, when people come to me, for spiritual direction and want to know, kind of form a serious prayer life, my first question to them is, what time do you go to bed? Like, that's where it starts. You want to get up early, go to bed early. Like, that's where it starts. So it's practical.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole approach that I've really taken in this book. The Catholic Cowboy Way is to follow the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, period. Okay. So then if I want to follow the Lord, I have to listen to the Lord. So like this work is the first step in the program. So it's taken the Catholic Cowboy, and we're just like dialing it in, and we'll see wherever it goes. But prayer is just essential. So the premise of prayer is to listen to the voice of God in your heart. That is what we are after all throughout prayer. If I can do that, if I can stay in tune with God's voice all throughout my day and life, like He wants me to, life is good. No matter what storm's going on, life is good interiorly.
It's so beautiful. I got to tell you, I know when you're a young man and you have your children and your life gets real busy, but I'm gone by 9 p.m., 8:30, 9 p.m. I'm asleep. I'm getting it and you know what? I go to sleep and I can hardly wait to get up and start my day the next day. But yeah, that sacred hour, I think especially for men, Father, because your children should wake up maybe to go to the bathroom some hour of the morning and see, oh, my dad's up. He's reading, he's praying, and he sits in that same chair every day. For me, I do the liturgy of the hours, and then I leave the liturgy open to the Psalms for Cindy when she gets up. But I'm up at least an hour before she does. Sure. So having that, and I call it it's the sacred time of day for men to get up before, at least an hour before everyone else. And then, by the way, it's good to follow that up with a physical workout. and then go kick some butt. You know what I mean? Then start your day and do the stuff God's calling you to do.
No, it's good and it's practical as well. And I just the beauty why I do kind of emphasize prayer in the morning. Not that it's the only time you can pray, but it is sacred time. And the beauty is if I do this program right, so prayer is dialing my heart into the voice of God, which speaks to me personally. So I would say the frequency of the Father is sonship. So if you're kind of familiar with my other work, like sonship is my relationship with Dad through the Son. Now that can be male or female, but it's always through the Son. But it's personal to me. And so that's the frequency. So I like have to calibrate my heart on a daily basis to tune into that voice. That's what I do in prayer is I tune into that voice. Now I got it. Hey, I got to go to work. I leave prayer, but I don't leave the frequency. So now I'm tuned in. So now my whole day benefits from that dialed in communication with God. And so now we'll get to the next step here in a bit, but
So
you do have to
cool.
exercise discernment of spirits as I go throughout my day to stay tuned in kind of stuff. But that's the value of morning prayer, intentional morning prayer, is I benefit from it for through the rest of my day.
And it's what do you mean? You know, that's so perfect. You're dialing into that frequency. It's like some people jump in the car, like Cindy and I sit and have coffee, and we know there's going to be a big truck come by that's going to be really loud because we do our liturgy, the gospel readings down there. There's going to be a loud truck. Then there's going to be a guy a little while with his music blasting. And so some people, they're going to jump in the car and the radio starts blasting out maybe even nice music, but it's not. But that dialing it into the frequency of God, and that frequency is sonship. What does sonship mean for us men? Some men are afraid of their dads, or everyone has a father wound. How do you get into that dialing in sonship with God?
Well, sonship is who I am as a baptized son of the Father through Christ, So that's who we are. That's my identity. And it's very particular to me. It means I'm a beloved son of God the Father, not one of many. I'm a beloved son who knows me. He calls me by name, Bryce,
Yeah.
And that's all of us have that relationship. It's who we are. But it's particular. The kind of the Catholic cowboy way is like, it's not just hypothetical, it's human. Like it involves all my humanity, surfing, riding horses, welding, reading, whatever your gig is.
Getting bucked off horses, as I recall,
Getting
too.
bucked off and getting back on. Yes. And so anyway, it involves all of that, your entire humanity. So it's not just a hypothetical thing. It is in the heart, I will say. We can talk about that too, but it's very personal. So I take the time. I hear Dad call me son, and vice versa. We're there. Now, the deal is that the devil spends our entire lives trying to distract us, to disturb that frequency. So we first got to dial it in. Now we got to stay tuned in, and that's discernment of spirits. No, that's not him. Yes, that is him. Come on in. Stuff. And so our world doesn't help with that distraction, i.e. loud music and loud trucks. Well, I like loud trucks, but anyway,
who doesn't?
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, there's plenty out there to distract us, right? So we got to be very intentional on our game because we might hit and miss it. Fine. We all know what the voice of God sounds like. The idea of prayer is to become proficient at owning it and staying there. So
this is one of the richest conversations I can remember having, Father Bryce. It's just so perfect because you start that morning where it still takes focus and attentiveness and intention, meditating on God's word, having that time of silent prayer, maybe doing Lectio Divina, whatever. We'll talk more about that. But then staying tuned, and it's about discernment of spirits. I mean, through the day, there's voices talking to you, and some voices are voices of death. Some are your own interior unhealthiness. Some of it is the devil. Yeah. Some of it's the world. So just keep saying, no, I reject that thought. The Catechism says that virtue begins in the mind. It's your virtue is a habit, and where you let your mind go to, where it can become a habit. I'm going to listen to these lies about the accuser of the brethren lying to me about myself, or misdirecting me, or I can listen to my own hurt, my own pain within me that is misdirecting me, or am I going to listen to that? I love that I'm a son of God, a beloved son, and I call him Dad. And I check in with him in the morning and throughout the day. We're talking with Father Bryce Lungren, Catholic. It's Wyoming Catholic Cowboy is his website, and his series of books, The Catholic Cowboy Way. His newest one is The Catholic Cowboy Way of Prayer. We'll be right back with more of the Bear Woznick Adventure. Go to schoolofmanliness.com and subscribe to our weekly email to receive video YouTube links of the Bear Woznick radio show, as well as the Spirit of Adventure with Bear and Cindy TV show, which, by the way, is filmed in the tropics, as well as our manly evangelistic YouTube shorts. Go to schoolofmanliness.com. Here is a YouTube video short, which is based on an excerpt from my newest book, 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? Don't be a quitter. As my ninja sensei used to say as he pushed down on my shoulders, assisting me in doing push-ups, you can do one more of anything. When I paddled my surfboard across the treacherous Molokai Channel, it was just one paddle stroke at a time across those 35 miles. When I pedaled my bicycle across the United States, it was just one more pedal stroke at a time that got me across. To a cowboy, being a quitter is as bad as being a horse thief. When someone quits, they leave others holding the bag and having to do their work, or worse yet, they leave them in a dangerous position. We need to carry our own backpack. Louis L'Amour said in The Education of a Wandering Man, much was forgiven if a man had courage, integrity, and if he did his job. If a man gave less than his best, though, somebody always had to pick up the slack, and he was not admired. People love our EWTN TV show, Long Ride Home with Bear Woznick. Thanks to you, the show has won 4 different Tally Awards. And now, instead of waiting each week for the next episode to air, you can actually binge watch our show and even share it with your friends when you go to deepadventure.com and join the Mama Bears or the Man Cave. Along with all the other benefits, you get total access to all the seasons of our aired episodes, plus instant access to episodes that won't even air for several months. Long Ride Home with Bear Woznick, a great way to communicate the gospel in a gritty enough way that even tough men will stop and watch at deepadventure.com.
Be the kind of man that when he gets out of bed in the morning, the devil says, "Oh no, he's up." Go to deepadventure.com and invite Bear to speak.
Aloha, welcome to the Bear Woznick Adventure. We have schoolofmanliness.com. We'd like to invite the men to join, especially the young men. So many young men now have come to the church. This is a great way to get formed by other men. We have as our guest Father Bryce Lungren, and I love one of the quotes in his first book, The Catholic Cowboy Way, where he's talking about how men need to get together and have real conversation. But he said if he was riding with his buddy, what was the buddy you referenced?
Zeke.
What is Zeke? Hey, Zeke, we need to get more transparent and vulnerable with each other. Zeke would have kicked spears and be gone over the next 2 mountains before he could take a breath. But if you get with real men and you're able to be gritty and real, that's what you need. And the schoolofmanliness.com is a place, it can be a launching place for you too. Come, we have a non-Facebook community of men where we share what God's doing in our lives. We encourage each other, embolden each other, challenge each other. And once a month, we have the Zoom meetup where we all get together. And every Saturday morning, you get a special email, not the email that the people get who subscribe to our newsletter. They get the show every Saturday morning, but you get a special email with a curriculum for manliness for that week that you can go through, and you can even go through with your sons. And included in there sometimes is a homily by Father Bryce Lungren, who's our guest today, because he's gritty and he's real. But join the schoolofmanliness.com and become part of the Man Cave and grow. We're just a bunch of misfits, you know. We're like David's men in the cave of Adullam, who the Bible refers to as misfits, but they formed each other, and God formed them into the valiant men of God. And so that's what our goal is. And then to form you, help you become formed, so that you start your own men's group or whatever your ministry that God is calling you to, that you are propelled into. So we have Father Bryce Lungren, who in just his own easy way, it's like this: when you start your day in prayer, Father, then throughout the day, you just be who you are, because you're kind of you do what you do, you do your stuff, and then the desires that God's given you puts you into situations where God uses you to impact others. But also, you know what, Father, when I'm surfing a good wave, I'm not doing anything for anybody, but I feel God's pleasure in it. I'm pleasing Him. I'm not being used by God for anything. We're just enjoying each other's company. And I know you too, when you're out riding and you see the beauty of the mountains in Wyoming and you're enjoying it with your Father in heaven, it's not about being a tool that God uses. It's about being a son.
Yeah.
And Him and
mission comes from relationship. So you can't just jump right into the saddle. Like you gotta have a good relationship. So that begins with prayer. So the deal is when so the sonship, the voice of God, it resonates in my heart. And so even the catechism would say that, so he'd speak of the conscience. The conscience is that secret sanctuary or core of man where the voice of God resounds, right? And it's along those lines. So I just speak of the conscience in this sense more as our heart. So the deal is, this whole reality resides in my heart. So if I'm gonna pray. Let's do it. I'm doing all that. I stop, fold my hands, close my eyes. The first thing I encounter is my thoughts. Okay. And we usually get stuck there. So seminary, we were taught just threefold distinction of the interior of the human person to help us navigate our way to the heart. And so those three modes are thoughts, feelings, and desires. Okay. It's just part of who we are, and it doesn't exhaust it, but it does kind of give us some categories to work with. So I want to get to that place of desire, because that's the language of God. That's the language of the heart. That's where I can encounter Him in this kind of deep way. So okay, I turn in. I'm hit with my thoughts. So thoughts are, they're like the waves of the sea. They're here, and I just get tossed from one to another, and I'm kind of like doing the spiritual doggy paddle, just trying to keep up with them, right? So I'm like, well, how do I get through my thoughts? The idea, stop paddling, don't engage them, just don't. We usually do. Oh yeah, that thought, think about it. That thought, think about it. Don't engage them. All right. Then I stop paddling. Whoa, I sink. Ooh, a little uncomfortable. I don't know if I can breathe underwater. What's the next thing I encounter? My feelings, like my emotional life, right? It's part of who we are. It's kind of a bridge between our thoughts and our hearts, in a sense. If I can name my feelings, I feel like this, I feel like that. If I can name my feelings, like I'm doing something right in the spiritual life and the prayer life, because I'm getting dialed in. We can name that, like I'm ticked off. We can do that. But I mean, like, really, no, this bugs me, or I am happy about this, or it's a whole realm itself. But I still encourage this, and it's good to be there, but I don't have all day here, and I really want to get to my heart. Because the quicker I can get to my heart, the better I can think well, the better I can feel well. I think from the heart. I feel from the heart. Like life happens from the heart. So I want to kind of get there. And so with the feeling stuff, I mean, it's all right to name them, and it's good to name them, but I still want to drift. I still want to kind of keep allowing myself to go deeper. And if you just watch the language you use as you're describing, I mean, I probably got my eyes closed, as I'm describing just interiorly, I feel, or whatever I'm using, like, I think this, I'm in my head, I feel this, I'm usually in the motions. When I start saying things like, I desire, I long, I want, I love. I usually am in that heart space. Okay, now I want to be attentive. Now I can name those desires. I can kind of speak of them a little bit more. But I want to even maybe not speak as much and start, oh, I want this, I want that, I need a new pickup, whatever, right? No, I want to be there. Okay, I'm there. Now I want to just take a breath and listen. And then God brings the desires up. Like, I do want that. And so do you. Let's go. You know, but I would say even there, it's not always a call to go and do and serve. It's a call of love. And so that's where I hear Dad call me son and me call him father, you know, and that's all I need. Now I know I'm there. Right now I stay there. Now I think from the heart. Now I feel from the heart, you know. And then just to kind of, these are basics, right? But you kind of get it. Now, hey, I got to go to work, right? So I don't leave the heart, right? I stay at the heart even as I serve in the world. So one image I have, I've kind of used the water image. So it's like prayer is like a submarine. Like I go deep, right? Now I'm deep, but hey, I got to go to work. I come up a little bit and then I shoot out my periscope, and that's how I roll through life.
That's awesome.
And then I just shoot torpedoes and things like that.
You know, I got to share something with you. So true. I remember as a young man, and I love it when we have young men listen to this show. I think I was maybe 19. I just experienced probably 20. I just experienced a deep conversion in the Lord, and I was off to the races. If I went to college at Baylor, if you were sitting there alone at the cafeteria, you were in trouble because I was going to join you, tell you about Jesus. You know, here's this Catholic telling Baptists about Jesus, but and so people said, "Oh, you must be called to the priesthood." But in my heart of hearts in high school, I had like an epiphany with the Lord where suddenly I realized I could have a child. And my whole life was then directed towards getting good education so I could get a job, so I could get married, so I could have children. That was my desire. But I went through this time of like just having to die to that. Lord, not my will, but your will be done. And it was 6 months of feeling separated from God. And I was early on, like after the first 6 months of my going deep with having that conversion experience, of just saying, I can't do it, God. I want to have children, but I couldn't say thy will be done. Then I went to a Benedictine monastery in the mountains of Pecos, New Mexico. And a young man came in who was my roommate, eventually became a Franciscan. He knelt next to his bed. I never met him. He was going to be my roommate for the weekend. And he just kept whispering, God, I love you and I give you my life. And finally I just said, as God, as hard as it is to love you, it's to say yes to you, it's harder not to. So yes, I will do your will. And then it was a couple months later, Father, I was up at the top of a mountain called Monte de Sol in Santa Fe. I'd gone back there to see if I would go to a seminary, if that's what God wanted. And I was at the top of this mountain praying, and I said, God, what do you want? And it was just like the words you said. He said, well, what do you want? So I said, I want to be a father. I want to have children. Well, and then the scripture verse came to me. I forget the beginning of it now, but it's basically give your heart to the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart, which means to say he plants them there. He will also help you realize them. And the word desire comes from the word in Latin to look up at the stars. It's not a passion of being driven by your emotions. It's an upward yearning. And God puts those desires in our heart for a new truck when it's time. You know, it's as practical as that. Or for whatever it is God's leading you to. It's in the little things and the big things. Sometimes God gives you a desire for a cup of coffee. You go to get a cup of coffee and suddenly ministry happens there. So just listen to that inner voice. We're talking to Father Bryce Lungren, Wyoming Catholic Cowboy, his new book, The Catholic Cowboy Way. It's a series of books, The Catholic Cowboy Way. His newest one is The Catholic Cowboy Way of Prayer. We'll be right back with more of the Bear Woznick adventure. Deep Adventure Ministries is grateful to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for underwriting the Bear Woznick adventure on EWTN. Notre Dame Federal Credit Union provides car loans, mortgages, SBA loans, and depository accounts nationwide. as well as 24-hour support. Go to deepadventure.com to find their link, or go to NotreDameFCU.com. Mahalo to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for making the Bear Woznick adventure possible. Announcing Spirit Adventure TV with Bear and Cindy. So many people, especially you mama bears, tell us we want more of Bear and Cindy together. Well, we're happy to announce our website, spiritofadventuretv.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Bear Woznick Spirit of Adventure, where you can watch Spirit of Adventure TV with Bear and Cindy. Join us where we live in the Hawaiian Islands or where we sail our boat, the Spirit of Adventure, in the Caribbean. Experience both adventure and serenity with us as we share our life together, as well as the joy and the wisdom of our faith. Go to spiritofadventuretv.com to find out more, and subscribe on YouTube to Bear Woznick Spirit of Adventure. And join us, Spirit of Adventure with Bear and Cindy.
Are you still listening? I thought we warned you to change to an easy listening station. Well, you asked for it. Here is more of the Bear Woznick Adventure.
Aloha, welcome back to the Bear Woznick Adventure. We want to invite everybody to check out our TV series, Long Ride Home with Bear Woznick, is still showing on Prime Video. It's a tremendous evangelistic tool. So many really gnarly men have come to the Lord because someone surreptitiously put on Long Ride Home and they got stuck watching a motorcycle show and find out it's about Jesus. And so many men have become Catholic by watching that TV show. But Long Ride Home you got to look up with Bear Woznick. It has to have that part in it. And you can watch it on Prime Video. EWTN still re-airs it from time to time, but you can watch all 33 episodes. The last season was filmed in Hawaii. We have, speaking of surfers, we got Father Bryce Lungren with us. He's a surfer, a cowboy. Father Bryce, you rode broncs, but did you bull ride too? I think you tried bull riding a little bit. It was broncs.
I never tried bulls.
But you tried, but you did. Well, you know what? We have two young men in our man cave that are bull riders, and they're also both experienced tremendous pain this last summer. And I don't think that's really going to be bull riding anymore. But one of your sayings is riding this bronc of life. Staying in the saddle. How do we stay in the saddle in prayer? Or what?
Well, by listening to the Father, man, period. Yeah. I mean, if we are in communication with God the Father through the Son and the Holy Spirit living with us, life is good. I mean, like we can stay grounded even when it gets tough, even when it gets bronky, right? And that's where the discipline comes in. And so it can be a smooth ride even when it's rough. And it's just life. You got to learn this stuff. And it's not, none of us have it totally figured out, but the church is here to help us. And so it's 2,000 years. Like I feel like in prayer, in our understanding of prayer, it makes sense. We're way more advanced than we ever have been because we're building on the shoulders of giants,
Yes.
So we're really refined. And so I guess where I'd like to kind of leave off I've taken time in prayer, ideally in the morning, to attune my heart to God's voice in my heart, right? And we'd call that sonship. The language of that is desire. It motivates us. It inspires us just to be in that relationship, things like that. Now, there's truth. Hey, I got to go to work, right? So now
I get to go to work. I get to go to work.
I get to go to work. I have to leave prayer, but I don't leave my heart. So I stay in communication with the voice of God. And I do this through discernment of spirits. And this is a great tool, really founded by St. Ignatius of Loyola, but it's really been expounded upon and developed in more deeper and personal ways over the years. And so how I call discernment of spirits, I call it spiritual defensive driving. Okay.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Dude, it is so real. I mean, when I drive down the road, I'm not just like, just, not paying attention. Like that doesn't work well.
Yes.
Right? And then defensive driving isn't also like white knuckling life. It's not like, right? Defensive
Yeah,
driving
right.
is being in control. It's being aware. It's like I'm aware of my fuel gauge. I'm aware of my temperature gauge. Oil pressure's good. Mirrors here, check. Guy driving down the road, good. I'm in control, right? So so this is how we're kind of dial it in a more practical way. There's the 14 rules of discernment. Great. What does spiritual defensive driving look like? Discernment of spirits, okay? The three mode fold is be aware, understand, and take action. Okay. First step, be aware. That's the mode. I'm in control, aware of my gauges, surroundings. I don't just drink in every narrative that comes my way. I test it, right? I like who is the author of this voice speaking to me? If you're following me, now we're kind of back into the heart language here.
Yes.
That like I'm wanting to listen to the voice of God. The trick of listening to the voice of God is tuning out all the voices that are not of God, which are many. And so I'm aware of who's speaking to me, and I have to test that spirit. The basic mode of testing it, you can tell a tree by its fruit. I can tell the author of a voice that's speaking to me by the fruit it produces in my heart. Right? The
Mm.
fruits of the Holy Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, and the like. If that voice produces those fruits, come on in, receive it. Okay. If it doesn't, if it's fear, negativity, doubt on down the line, no, reject it. Right. Name it, reject it. Just naming
Oh,
it,
wait,
that's
no,
not
wait,
the voice of God,
wait.
rejects it.
I think you're saying something so important. Name it.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as you name it means I get it, I
Okay.
understand it, and you're
Yeah.
gonna, and you know its name when it comes to bug you
Yeah.
again, and you know in an instant you can reject it.
It's very crucial. Just naming it exposes the liar. He doesn't want to be
Yes,
to
I'm
the
sorry, I
light.
yelled.
Yeah. And so he he
Yes,
he
yeah,
runs when
yeah.
you name it.
It's like
But I would say
it's the
so.
same as an exorcism, right? You
Yeah.
name the
So
demon, you cast him out. Yeah.
I say, be aware. Okay, now understand. It's not the voice of God. I'm understanding it, right? Now take action. Get gone, Satan, right? So
Mm.
that's but there's also action in the other way. So God's speaking to me, the sun's shining on me. Okay, I feel like he's trying to just, re-encourage me that he's
Yeah.
here providing for me, he loves me.
Yeah.
I I hear that. I understand that is from God. I take action. Come on in. Yes, Lord, I love you too. Stuff,
Beautiful.
right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I reject the bad spirit so that I can stay in tune with the good spirit. And this is the way forward. This is like so much of the actual discipline of prayer. I mean, in a time frame at least, so much of my day involves discernment of spirits. And
Wow.
if I do it well, and sometimes I'm in my awareness, I'm like, dang, I'm desolate. Like, why am I desolate? So I understand I'm aware that I'm desolate. Why am I desolate? When this person said this, it made me feel like this. I
Mm-hmm.
understand it. Now take action, reject the lie. What's the truth?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
God's merciful.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a discipline, but it's a practical one that I can learn, and it takes
Yes.
experience. You don't just get the textbook. You got to grab the wheel and drive. I learn as I go. How's it look on me kind of stuff. But so that's the threefold mode of discernment of spirits that we've kind of been taught. Be aware, understand, take action. That's how I, stay in the saddle of life, so to speak.
As a martial artist, we used to say discern, disrupt, attack, or discern, disrupt, respond.
Mhm.
It's the same thing in what you're saying in the spiritual life is you discern.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, what's the first step again? I
Be
didn't take
aware,
notes. Okay, be aware, discern,
understand.
and yeah, in martial arts, it's spatial awareness.
Yeah,
Someone's up
same
to
logic.
something, discern it, then disrupt the attack, and
Mhm.
then respond. And and because it actually is spiritual warfare, and that's the combative art. But then there's also the other side, as you say, discern. Oh, the sun's shining on me. Come on in, God.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know.
that's the point of it all. Really, the whole point of it all is to stay in tune with God's voice. And to do
Mm.
that, I have to name what's not of him and get it out of my way so that I can stay in tune.
And when I had
And
that feeling this morning, Father, of I got up and why don't as I was praying this morning, why don't I feel good? Something's troubling me. What is it? And I had to go down in there. It wasn't like a voice. It was a troubling in my feelings. And I go, oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. There's someone that wanted me to be on their show 2 months ago, and I kept rescheduling, and I was feeling bad because I'd let that person down. Okay, now I know what action to take. Now I can go back to prayer.
Email them.
But I did. I did as soon as I got. But why am I feeling like I've let someone? What is this feeling? It's a feeling of letting someone down. What is coming? Oh,
yeah.
So it's
beautiful.
Tuning in, right? And but then going back into prayer. But kind of okay, got it. Going back to prayer. Treading water. Man. What do you call it? Doggy paddle.
Spiritual doggy paddle.
We only have a minute or so left. The name of the book is again what?
It's the Catholic Cowboy Way of Prayer, and it is. I just want to say that I just went through an independent publishing house on this one, and so you can only kind of find it like on Barnes and Noble or something right now. So
can you find that on Amazon? You can find it on Amazon. I found it.
Okay. Good enough.
You just got to look up Father Bryce Lungren and books, and then find the Catholic Cowboy Way Blue Book, and then it's there. I believe it's there. But yeah, so Father Bryce, thank you. You know, I know one thing I say about you is that he really protects his priesthood, and I realize now more than that, you're really protecting your walk with the Lord. You don't you serve the Lord, but you don't allow yourself to have fractured energy. You stay focused. And you're protecting your priesthood, your flock, and your walk with God that way. And I really love you so much. I hope you come into Hawaii again anytime. Bring someone with you. Bring Father Joe with you. I guess he became a cowboy, huh? Father Joe's a cowboy now?
Well, you know what they say. If you have a hat, you can be a cowboy too.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me get my hat. I got it right up here. I can't wear my hat with my headset on.
Yeah, it's always a joy. I appreciate your encouragement. And it's a fun journey, and it's fun. It's funner to journey with each other. So thanks for your companionship.
Thank you too, Father Bryce. Well, until next week, may the breath of the Holy Spirit aloha you. Aloha.
Thanks for listening to the Bear Woznick Adventure. Find more manly conversation at the Bear Woznick Deep Adventure YouTube channel. Subscribe and ring the bell.